Now, he is a model turned TV presenter who rose to fame presenting T4 alongside some very familiar faces. Oh, look at them. How young they look. We've got Vernon Kay on the end there in his little suit, bless him. And now, since then, our guest has entered the fast lane as a Formula One presenter. Now he's adding author to that list and he's released his first ever novel. We're delighted to welcome him. It is Steve Jones.
Really cool.
It's a tune, isn't it?
Bit of the Mac. Fantastic.
Yeah. It is a tune. Yeah, so Formula One. Were you a big Formula One fan?
No.
Oh. Okay.
I didn't know much about it before I was asked to do it. To be completely honest, I lied. I told Channel 4 that I'm a huge fan and I'm the right man for the job.
That's the best way to do it.
It was scary, though, Katie, very scary. I swatted up for 3 months solid. I was dreaming F1 by the end of it, and then I just jumped into the deep end, and it's been one of the best moves I've ever made.
Did you do a lot of homework?
Yeah.
Definitely a lot of homework. I got to work extra hard. I'm not an expert, you know, I'm the presenter. Just got to ask the right questions. So.
Did you get in trouble for calling it Hollyoaks on wheels?
Yeah, I did.
Yeah.
They did not respond well to that, the F1 crowd at the time. But ironically, it has become that in 2023.
What's the show that all the young... And my son is obsessed with Formula One.
Drive to Survive.
That's the one.
Oh, that's
on
they all
Netflix.
talk
It's
about
a
it,
very, very popular show. We love it because it means it does all the promotion for F1 for us, so we don't have to do any promo for it. But which, at the same time, is a shame because I like coming out and seeing everybody. So it's great that I'm here with something different that isn't Formula One.
Yeah, well, this is your book. So this is your first ever novel. Are you one of those people like, I've had a book in me for a long time?
I'm not sure that I've thought I had a book in me. I just think I read enough. I'm a prolific reader. I love to read. And I think if anybody reads enough books, there's going to come a time where you think, could I write a book? And that's the question I asked a few years back.
Here
and
it is.
Apparently, yes, I can, but read it first. But first, maybe you'll think, no, you can't.
Call Time. How did it feel the first time you held your own book?
It was one of the best days of my life.
Yeah.
It just blew my mind. It was just all my dreams coming true. It was an amazing day.
Well, I was fascinated how this came about. So as many good ideas. Friends in a pub, having a discussion, and one of your friends, Rose, I believe, said that she knew every single number in her mobile phone.
Crazy.
Mind-blowing.
Yeah.
Okay, then we were all talking this morning going, well, actually, I do remember my childhood home
The landline.
number.
Yeah, that's the only one we could all remember.
Absolutely.
But you take it from there, because you could remember yours and you wondered something.
I said to Rose, that's bonkers. Apart from my current mobile phone number, the only number I can remember is my childhood landline, 01443756634. Probably shouldn't say that on TV. Ring it off the hook.
We're all going to ring it now.
And then I made a joke. I said, how weird would it be if I rang that number now and, you know, a 10-year-old Steve answered the phone? Oh, yeah. And that... It just started resonating with me, that idea. I thought, well, what would I tell myself? And that was the genesis of Call Time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you went on to, you know, a hard part of writing this book because you talk about your childhood friend, Chris, who you sadly lost through a cycling accident, and you were with him, and that's become part of the story.
I mean, the book is a complete work of fiction, but my protagonist, Bob Bloomfield, he does suffer a horrific childhood trauma. His brother and him go on a bike ride when they were kids, and his brother fell off the bike and died. And I didn't want Bob to be like a two-dimensional cliche. I needed his grief to be real, so I borrowed from my own experience, and that was when I was 19. My brother Jonathan and our best friend Chris went on a bike ride, and Chris came off his bike and he died.
In your arms?
In my arms, yep.
Very traumatic.
So how difficult to take yourself back to that place to write this?
Extremely difficult to relive that moment over and over again. But at the same time, I've done that my entire life. You can't move on from something like that, so it's always with me.
Do you think it helped, though? Maybe it was a bit cathartic, and I mean, there's never closure from losing somebody, but do you think it was a bit of the healing process?
Maybe. You know, the book is dedicated to Chris, and I obviously miss him terribly. And there was a small part of me that was questioning using the worst thing that ever happened to me in the fashion that I did. So I had to come to terms with that, but I spoke to Chris's family, and they were absolutely fine with it. I explained the book isn't about Chris, it's a work of fiction. So it's been really difficult to get my head around it, to be completely honest with you.
But I think... Oh, sorry, go on.
No, I was going to say that all writers use experiences that have happened to them, even if they transpose them into other characters. And if you ask, you know, every successful novelist will say, oh, well, it's not based on one person, but you know, it's a composite of people. But having never written a book before, how did you plot it out? I mean, did you have a whiteboard and a storyline, or did you dictate it, or did you just write it straightly onto the keyboard?
Close to that. I understood what the beginning, the middle and the end was, but I allowed myself, you know, as many flights of fancies that I needed in order to go off in different directions and maybe mind something a bit more exciting and different. But I did know the beginning, the middle and the end. That was all plotted out. I kept it in my mind rather than on a bit of paper.
Yeah.
Just to keep it fresh and keep it
So
moving
did you have
constantly.
an editor chop it down? Because when I was going to say, when I wrote my first book of memoirs, I thought, oh, well, I'll just, like, write away.
Send, publish. Thank you very much. That was easy. No.
Yeah, and then you get the manuscript back with all the marks on it, and it's really awful, isn't it?
The first edit for Call Time I sent to my editor, a guy called Bill Massey, who's fantastic. His notes were, you've written one half of 2 different books. He literally reached into my chest and tore my heart out.
So demoralising.
I gave up. I put it down for a month that I can't do that. I put so much work into this book. I thought I finished it, and he's told me, no, you haven't. You've got to choose whether you want to go down the science fiction route or a story about relationships and people.
And you went down the relationships people.
Exactly.
Talking of relationships, your absolutely gorgeously stunning wife, Felicia, is here. Now, often people's partners are the first person to read your book, apart from your editor. Did Felicia read it? Did she give you any critique?
Yes, she did. She said she loved it, but I had to ignore that because I know she loves me, I love her. It was very unlikely she was going to go, well, this is a pile of rubbish. So
would you have told him if it was a pile of rubbish?
I would point out little things that I was, like, not fussed
she would.
on. Yeah.
Here's a dilemma for you, right? You love Felicia, you love Will Smith. There's quicksand. Both of them are sinking. Which one would you save?
I'm afraid it's the end of the road for Will Smith.
Yeah. Right answer. Listen, Steve, it's a fascinating story, and thank you for sharing that, because I know that's hard to talk about your friend. Call Time, there it is. Steve Jones' very first novel. I'm sure there will be many more, but thank you and good luck with this. Steve Jones, everybody.